cleaning continuing in Texas following a winter storm, prompting several Bitcoin miners to shut down some or all of their operations to avoid power failures. Joining us now to discuss is Justin Baillard, CEO and co-founder of Jai Energy. Hello there, Justin. All right, so from what I understand, most of your operations are actually in Wyoming, but you have some in Texas. So what's the situation down there?
Yeah, well, let me clarify. We have mining operations in Wyoming right now. We have secured 140 megawatts of power on the ERCOT system over in Texas. We haven't got those operational yet, but we hope to have it fully operational by this time next year. So we've got some big plans, and it was nice to see with the storm coming through this last week that Bitcoin miners really got ahead of that and showed that kind of the thesis that we've been living by, which is, we can provide some stability to the grid. We were proactive and they're getting ahead of it. So really like to point out Riot. They really were leading the charge and getting ahead of the storm and making sure that that was part of the story going forward.
I wonder what, if any, impact might this have on the Bitcoin network?
Yeah, no, I actually don't think it's going to have a negative impact. I think it's going to have a very positive impact going forward because it does show that miners can provide a base load for the grid, that there's really not a better option to do it with other than Bitcoin mining. Most of the other options that are out there deal with peaker plants and things like that to provide a base load or a ramp up for the base load when there does have a peak demand time or a high demand time. And having miners there prevents that from a cost being dumped down onto consumers, whether it be commercial or residential users. So that's been kind of the big story. Last year we had Winter Storm Uri come through, and that was it was catastrophic for Texas. We had 276 people die, and it really exposed some of the vulnerability of the Texas power grid. And so now with having a little bit of mining going on the grid already, we were able to show that, yes, the storm was not as bad, but miners can curtail their power in a very quick fashion when you compare it to other industry solutions for that. If you guys know much about the grid, there's a balance issue that comes into play, and there's not very many options to address that beyond what Bitcoin mining provides. And so I know Warren Buffett's group had talked about coming into Texas. I think they had a proposal to build 10 different peaker plants, which peaker plants basically they ramp up in a situation where you have high demand, like a winter storm, a major winter storm or a major weather event coming through. That cost was going to be about $8 billion, and it was going to be passed on to the consumers, the end consumer. And so when you look at having the option of a group like Warren Buffett's group come in and build peaker plants that are going to be passed on to the taxpayers, as opposed to having miners in a private business come in, create jobs, generate new revenue, tax revenue basis. I really don't think there's a comparison to what those two alternatives are. And I think what Riot did and what some of the other groups out there, believe Lancium has about 100 megawatts under power or under their purview. And they all have been taking steps to make sure that, look, this is not just our rhetoric to get out and try to get power at a cheap cost as a mining group. It is an actual thing that becomes more than just an economic situation. It could be a humanitarian issue.
Interesting. I just want to pivot to the markets. Amid this volatility, what is Jai doing with their Bitcoin rewards? Are you accumulating, selling in this market?
Yeah, we're accumulating. We're trying to hold as much as possible, and I'll tell you, it is very nice to see prices over 40 again. We are long-term believers in Bitcoin and the success that it's going to have, and we believe it's going to continue to grow, and we're excited about it. And so, yeah, we try to hold as much as possible. We're definitely going to try to take advantage of the high times, right? But right now, it's good to see it coming back up, and we've got to cover our operating expenses. But for the most part, we want to hold Bitcoin as much as possible.